What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Fab Freddie Fox, America's Big Brother, and we back with another episode of the Saturday Night Sit Down. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Fab Freddie Fox, America's Big Brother, and today I am here with the founder and CEO of Proud Puff Cereal, Nic King. How are you, man?
I'm blessed, brother, man. I appreciate you for having me, man. How are you feeling?
I'm good, man. Thank you so much, man. I'm just so eager to speak with you, and I'm looking forward to this, man. I remember when I first started this and thinking about the podcast and everything that you were doing with the Proud Puff cereals and stuff like that, and just knowing you for some long time, I was like, you know what, man, I gotta have this man on my show, man. I gotta speak with him. I gotta see how his mind works and stuff like that, because it's gonna be a beautiful thing for this younger generation, my brother.
Yes, sir, man. I appreciate it, man. This is probably the most important thing, man, especially, the way you have everything formatted and who you're looking to reach, you know what I mean? So like, this was undoubtedly something that I had to do, man. So again, thank you for having me on.
No, thank you, man. And as I try to break it down with everybody, when I speak to them about what I'm trying to do with my show it took me a long time to figure out how to be a man, and how to come into my own thing and just really trying to find myself. I just spent like a lot of, like I said, my early years being a chameleon and trying to fit in and blend into all these places and scenarios where ultimately I realized like I didn't belong because it just wasn't for me. And I needed to really be sure of myself. And now that I found that, and I'm looking back at these younger generation and these kids coming up and stuff like that, seeing them following into these same pitfalls, into these same areas and going through these same struggles. And I figured that by having these conversations with other great men like yourself and stuff like that, and giving out pointers and just letting them know, people who look like them, who came from them, who are where they come from, can be so much more than just what the media or what people want to paint you as. So that's what I'm looking for with these conversations and speaking with people like you. You know what I mean?
Definitely. That's pretty much, the exciting part about what I'm doing now and what I'm building with Legacy Cereal Company. And as we're in the process of getting Proud Puffs released, it's like, I've had a couple career days that I've gone to via Zoom and things like that, to speak to the kids. And I'm going into it nervous, like, I'm not a rapper, you know what I mean? I'm not a ball player, like, but they were just as excited to kind of hear my story. And they're like, you make cereal? Like, what did you, like, why, how did that process go? And, as I show them with the design of the box and, what the process is, it's been super exciting. So, and that's everything I can do to use my platform is really to kind of uplift the culture and, our people and those who look like us and just inspire everybody in the world to say, like, listen, you can always do more than what people, put these ceilings on, where they think you can go or what you can be.
No, yeah, man, and just like you said that about like these ceilings and stuff like that, man. I've been doing a lot of in these past years, like reading a lot of these self-help books about like mindfulness, meditation, and all these things like that. And one of the books that I'm listening to right now, they talk about that is just that the human potential is not known, but it's limitless. And only those who risk going too far will know how far they can actually go. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just a matter of really, like I said too, also on the podcast, is that we are bound to the boundaries we create in our own mind. You know what I mean? Like, so if we set a certain limitation, like no matter what we do, that's as far as we're gonna go. Like they always say too, like no, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. So I'm glad, like you said, just seeing that and that just going experience for yourself too. So as I start these, man, as I start my shows and stuff like that, the first question I want to ask you is, for you, what do you think are some of the main characteristics or one of the main qualities that make up a good man or a good person?
Oh man, just really being a man of honor, you know what I mean? Like that. I think that, the every man and his word is everything. And, as I've evolved as, a man and growing up and doing some soul searching, I've always just broken a lot of it down, just being a solid human, you know what I mean? Being someone that generally organically cares about people, you know what I mean? Like there's no fake, no fluff. I know, we've been in a society where people think it's like good to have haters, and I'm like, I don't want no one to hate me. Like I really don't want. I don't want none. I'm good. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to be authentically myself. You know what I mean? Like that's just who I am. When you see my brand, when you see me, You're gonna be like, Nick is who he is. So, I think just really being a man of honor, just being a good human and being authentically yourself and really standing behind your word is really everything. You know what I mean? Like I want people to be able to see me, and whether I'm there or not, to say, you know what, Nick's a good guy. Nick has never done me wrong. Nick genuinely cares about, the community, his people, his family. Like when I love someone, like that's, like I said, I'm willing to move the earth for him. Like that's something, that I think is huge to have as a characteristic of a man, but a human in general.
No, definitely. I totally agree with you. Like I said in one of the episodes before, like some of my idols or my people that I love so much, or I try to follow in their footsteps, are like Martin Luther King, Mahatma Gandhi,
Mm.
Mother Teresa, those type of people again who just genuinely want better for
Yeah,
everybody else. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like they want to lift everybody up. And that's kind of how I lift myself, and then I abide by like it's just a funny story. Like I love going out doing nice things for people. Just sometimes like when I just want to go out, like, you know what, today I'm just gonna do a good deed, whatever it is and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And I remember one day I was working for LA Fitness in Stanford, and I walked over to the CVS over there. And I was wearing my khakis and a shirt or whatever. And this old lady approaches me and she goes, do you have cell phone? So I pulled out my cell phone. I'm starting to hand it to her, and she was like, "Oh no, no, I mean, do you sell them here?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't even work here." She was like, "Oh, you were just gonna let me use your phone?" I was like, "Yeah, like if you needed
Right,
something, I got it."
right.
Like she was like, "Oh my God, your mom raised such a great gentleman," but it wasn't
Yeah,
even like it wasn't even a second thought, you know what I mean?
right.
Like, and like
Yeah.
I tell my daughter, like if you have the ability to help somebody, help
One,
them. Just do
100.
it. Just do it.
Yeah.
You don't know what that person is going through. You don't know what that needs. You don't know what that's going to mean for them. But like for me, like I always say too, like I help people out of selfish reasons because it makes me feel so good. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
knowing that I was able to help somebody up and lift them up, and you know what I mean? Like whether
Definitely.
however they want to take it or whatever, I know I did something good, and that makes me feel good. You know what I mean?
100%. And that, I think that's the biggest thing, man. It's like, you touched on it real quick. Is, you don't know what people are going through. You know what I mean? A small gesture, and I've always done it every once in a while. If I'm in a Starbucks line getting coffee and things like that, I'm in the drive-through. I'd be like, I'll pick up the next person's order. You know what I'm saying? Like that little moment can literally, like, that's a mind shift. They can go from having the worst day and, worst
Right.
morning, to being like, wow, you know what I mean? Like there are actually genuine people out there, man. So I'm with you 100%, man. Just one simple act of kindness, you know what I mean? Whether you just reaching out to somebody and saying, "Hey, man, hope your day is amazing. I love you." Like that'll literally turn somebody that's starting their morning horribly to being like, "Wow, this person just reached out and said they love me," and I was, I could have been ready to do something crazy, but just to hear somebody say they love me has kind of put me back into, a good mental space. So I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it goes like, and some people think that, you got to do something huge or anything like that, man. It's most of the time, it's the smaller things, you know what I mean? Or the things that are just like, that have meaning behind it. Like I was working at this supermarket in Greenwich,
Mhm.
and I was really cool with the staff or whatever. And one day I was in there just returning bottles and stuff like that. And one of the members, she says to me, she's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, I'm returning the can so for my daughter's college fund. You know what I mean? Like the little change and stuff like that. I just save it up. And the thing was like around Christmas time or whatever. I seen her one day. She came by. She kind of gave me dap, and then she had a little receipt. And I looked at my hand, and I looked at it, and it was like I think it was like 75 cents, from the machine or whatever. And she was
Got
like, for your daughter's college fund. And I'm just like, wow, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like that made me very emotional. You know what I'm saying? Like to think, like thinking because for me, like you do something nice for my kids, the best way to get on my good side. Be
sure.
nice to my kids. You know what I
Right,
mean? But
right,
the fact that she, thought about that, returned the cans and stuff like that, and just was like, I'm gonna give this to him for his daughter. You know what I mean? Like it
right.
wasn't a lot, but just the thought, the consideration, and just being so genuine is what
Yeah,
made it so special. You
yeah,
know?
definitely. I like to navigate knowing and hoping that there's still genuine good people in this world. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just the end all be all. Like I'm usually at home, you know what I'm saying, moving around. I'm not out too much, but when I go outside, it's just one of those things like, yo, I just hope there's, what I mean, genuine loving people in this world that, what I mean, I just kind of want to see the world in a better place. We obviously are in a tough spot where we're dealing with racial issues and things like that. And,
Definitely.
I mean, people are emotionally affected by it. Not even just mentioning we are coming out of a pandemic. You know what I mean? People have been quarantined in their homes for months. You know what I mean? Like that's a whole different, conversation as far as mental health. So, just being mindful that people are probably going through something, you know what I mean? Like before you react to somebody, it takes a lot to really make me mad, because it's just like, I don't know what you're going through, and me just getting upset can trigger something completely different in you. So, you know what I mean? Like I usually just kind of let things go for that reason in particular.
No, definitely. I think like you said that too. It's just that it's so shocking to me
Mhm.
when you do something nice to somebody and how they're so surprised. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, it's kind of scary because that should be expected. You shouldn't, want people like to harm you or like, put
right.
you down, something like that. And that's
It's
one of my when I was go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's not, and I'm gonna be honest. Even for myself, I had two really close friends, and it took, as we were growing our relationship, it took a little while for me to understand, because they'll call me and be like, "Hey Nick, what's going on?" I'm like, "Not much," and I'm waiting for them to ask me something or just tell me something real quick, you know? And they're like, "No, man, just checking on you," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm good." You know what I mean? Like, I'm
Right.
not
Yeah.
expecting someone to just, "Oh, you good? Everything good? Yeah, work? Oh, about how's everything going? How's the business?" I'm like, "Oh man, everything's going good." It's like, "All right, man, just wanted to call to see how you was." And I'm still waiting for an ask, or, "Hey, can I
Right.
borrow
Right.
something?" And it just being like, "All right, man, love you, talk to you later." And you know what I mean? Like, so it took me a while as I'm developing those relationships to be like, wow, this person, and it just makes me want to go do that to other people, reach out and do the same thing. And I think that's just how the world should operate, man. Just when we see things like that, it's something that affects us, just learn to take that same thing and, pass that on.
No, definitely, and that's what I was getting at too. That's just one of my important morals for myself, like just being kind to people and
Mm.
loving people genuinely. Like, I genuinely love people. Like, I love to sit down. I will sit down and talk with anybody, anywhere, anytime, any place, whatever.
Yeah.
Because two things, what I mean? Like, I don't know what that they're gonna get out of it. What I
Mm.
mean? Like, because when people just open up to you, they're going through something. They need somebody to vent to. So I sit there and listen, but
Sure.
also too, I might be getting something out of it too, just by listening and learning. And that's what I teach my daughter is, and my
Mm.
son too, is just be loving and be kind to people all the time. You know what I mean? Like just love people genuinely, because you don't know what's going on and what they're gonna expect. And that's one of my key morals for myself. And for you, what do you think is one of your key morals that you like try to teach your son?
Oh man, it's so much, man, because it really comes down to, man, so many different characteristic traits that I feel like, as I kind of stated before, that make up the sum. And as I said, like, being a man of your word, I
Hmm.
mean, being one of the biggest things, because it's like, if you're gonna say you're gonna do something, do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're saying you're gonna help someone, if you're saying that, you know what I mean? Like, even if it's like in relation to like work, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're saying you're gonna complete a task, make sure that's done. And that kind of thing kind of correlates so many different ways through life. And even in the space of like communication, you know what I mean? Like, it's something that even through quarantine, I realized I wasn't always the best communicator, because I have a naturally an introverted personality. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So it's like, uh it, as now it's funny because launching this company has kind of thrusted me into doing more interviews and things like that. So it's like I had to kind of like learn a little bit more, like how to talk and how to, you know what I mean, how to converse a little
Right,
bit
right.
more. So I definitely would say being a man of your word, but also saying like communication is key. And I know it's like a cliche term, but being able to communicate and have and have a conversation and be able to fully articulate what you're thinking and how you're feeling, could definitely be a life changer, 100%.
No, definitely. I think it's very important, like communication. I know, like recently to me and my wife, we got the book of like the five love languages and stuff because
Mm.
me and my wife, we are complete
Great
opposites.
book, by the way.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is, man. It's amazing, and
Yeah.
and we are total opposites. So a lot of times, which we would see ourselves like we would be agreeing. We'd have
Mm.
the same thing and be agreeing on the same thing, but still arguing. And we're just like, but why are we here? Like, I don't understand. If we both agree,
Right.
why are we still like clashing? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's just taking time to really, again, understand the person that you care about, like how they receive information or how they receive love or
Mm.
what's important to them and really understanding. Like everybody says, like, oh, the golden rule, treat people how you want to be treated. But
Mm.
I think you got to go a step further. Like they said, there's a platinum rule where it's treat people how they want to be treated, understand what they need, what they're looking for, so that you can better communicate and really get the most out of that person. You know what I mean? Like, and that's been one of my things that I try to do with myself.
I'm going to take that. Treat people how they want to be treated. That's powerful all in itself. And you're 100% spot on. And I think the biggest thing is you're taking the time to learn. You know what I mean? You're taking the time to evolve. And we all always go into things like how we feel. And I've learned same thing. I've learned maybe last year or so not to negate other people's feelings just because I didn't understand. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and especially as men, we'll be like, well, why does that matter? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I said I was gonna watch the game. I said I was gonna do this, and you wanted me to do that. Like, why are you making it a big deal? It's a big deal. You know what I mean? Like, we have to look at that for what it is. It is something that is important to you. So let's build from there. You know what I mean? Versus negating and it turning into an argument. So I'm 100% in agreement, man. That love language thing is 100% a real thing. There's a lot of people that are like, oh, it's not like no, it's real. Some people do need time. Some people it is gifts. You know what I mean? Some people it is a touch. Like those things are real, man. So I love it 100%.
Yeah, and I think, like I says, I've taken the time to learn. I think where I've learned about like empathy and all that stuff is when I was working at Cablevision. I was there for about 8 years before they laid us
I
off.
say you have a lot of jobs. I don't gave me like
Yeah,
four.
yeah.
Yeah, I respect it. You gave me like four of them since we've been
Listen.
over
I've done, because one of my things is too is that
here. Yeah.
my parents and my mom, especially seeing my mom, what I mean, like work hard, what I
Yeah.
mean, whatever it is, and one of those things too is that I'm no better than the next man. You know what I mean? So I don't care. And I've done it too. Like at the supermarket, I was the closing manager, but I
Yeah.
go around and take out the garbage, you know what I'm saying? And I do
Sure.
all these other things and do that grunt work because number one, it keeps me humble because I'm not going to be, above anybody else, but also two, it sets the example. You know what I mean? Like you see your staff looking at you like the guy in charge is going around taking out the garbage and doing these things and doing the dirtiest part of the job that
Right.
nobody wants to do. But because I know you guys have other things and I need you guys to do other things that are more important,
Right.
and understanding that. And that goes one of the things, like I said, like working at Cablevision when I was there and I was a supervisor and learning to be empathetic because again, like customers calling up that the internet's not working and it's detrimental to them and it's not that serious, but I
Right.
don't understand. Once you start to hear their stories, you understand like it is important to them and
Yeah.
understanding that just because it may not mean anything to you, you got to understand why it's hurting them. And also when it came as being the supervisor to my staff, I was coaching 20 different people a month. And each person is a different personality, a different characteristic. So the way I speak to person A, I can't talk to
Yeah.
person B and C that way because they're not going to respond the same.
Definitely.
And to take the time to really sit down with them and know them and get to know them on a personal level so that when I do need something or when I need to make them perform in a certain way, I know how to turn their knobs and like really, what I mean? Like, I don't want to say like it's manipulation, but it's like you
No,
just
right.
understand how they work and you know what's
Yeah.
best for them so that it works for both parties. It's not a battle. You know what I mean?
Right. No, 100%. Maybe my career as far as being in corporate America was in retail management. So it was along the same thing. Everything you said, it's like, yes, I'm a store manager, but you'll see me with a broom in my hand. You know what I'm saying? And it's just really just instilling in those who are watching me as far as the employees are concerned. It's like, all right, Nick's willing to get dirty as well. Nick's not just going to sit there and watch. Nick's willing to jump in a sale and you know what I'm saying? And walk us through it. You know what I'm saying? And talk to the customers and really build that. But 100% spot on, man. Not everybody can be coached the same. I had some people that I could, tell it to them rough, like, yo, that was a terrible job. You know what I mean? Like, why did you say that? You know what I mean? Like, there's different steps on how to progress the sale. And then I had some people where it was almost like having to hold their hand and be like, all right, so where did you think that could have gone better? You know what I mean? So it's meeting people where they are. But what you said again, and please repeat that quote so I can remember it. You said,
Oh yeah, like treat people how they want to be treated.
How they want to be treated. Yes, sir. 100%.
So that's been my mantra and the thing that I teach my daughter, my kids, and stuff like that again because it's important to understand that everybody. Because even like that too, like I was just put out a little story about these two brothers, but every we can teach our kids and follow the same game plan our parents did with us and raising us, and the outcome will still be totally different because it's a different individual. You know what I mean? It's a different person. You know what I mean? Like, so that's one of the things. And I guess I'll get to that too with you is this for me that I found kind of interesting about parenting is, I try to really observe my kids and just let them go out and do certain things so I can see how their mind works and see how they do certain things. Like, and I shared this like last week, and I just think this one of the most incredible things that my daughter did. Like, I think she was about probably like 3 or 4 at the time. And she saw this spider web and she starts grabbing flowers and throwing them at the spider web. And I'm like, baby, like, what are you doing? She's like, Daddy, the bees are going to come for the flowers and they're going to sting the spider and kill it, but then they're gonna get stuck in the web so they can't get me. And I'm like, wait, what? Like there's like
there's so many layers there.
yeah,
There's so
how do
many
you
layers
just
to
like
kill
she's
it.
just
I respect it.
so
Yeah.
that's just one of those things too that I just kind of watch. And like now I have my daughter and I have my son, and
Mm-hmm.
they're two totally different personalities. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like with my daughter when she was very young, and I would like fake an injury or like, you know what I mean, like fake cry, and she's come and try to be all compassionate and try to see what's
Yeah.
wrong,
Right.
you know. And I do that with my son. He's like looks over me and just steps over me, like whatever, man. Like just like you know what I mean?
Get
Like
up.
so
Right. Right. Yeah.
so it's just so different. So that's like my approach when it comes to parenting. Like when it comes to like you and your son and stuff like that, what do you think has been some of the difficult things or one of the areas that you've struggled with in trying to parent?
Strong personalities, I'd say, is the biggest thing. It's funny because we're actually almost identical in our personalities. You know what I mean? Like we could be in the house and we'll kind of both know when we both want to communicate. You know what I mean? Like his door will be half cracked, my door will be half cracked, and then somehow we'll kind of meet in the hallway and it'll be like, all right, time to talk. You know, but similar to what you said, it's also, you know, like I'm be honest, you know, like I grew up to, you know what I mean? Like I did something wrong, I was getting whoopings. Like that's just what it was for me. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
But for me, I was just like, I don't want to go that way. You know what I mean? Like, you know, that just didn't like that didn't feel like it was going to be conducive to really one,
Mm-hmm.
you know, him growing up, because it's like, did you learn from it or are you just disciplined based off of something that you did? So more conversations on like, come on, man, you know why that's wrong. You know what I mean? Like, you know
Right,
that's not
right.
something that you're supposed to do. You know what I mean? Like whether it's related to school or whether it's related to being home. And he's a teenager, you know what I mean? He's about to be 16. So it's like, saying you're growing into your personality a little bit more. You're getting taller, you know what I mean? Your hair's growing. You're like, all right, I see it. You're growing into being a man, that you also have to understand there's certain ways that you have to carry yourself. There's certain ways that you have to speak. You know what I mean? There's certain things about your personality that will be conducive for you to change. So it's always an ever evolving relationship. For all parents, it's like you said, you can't parent your kids the same way. You know what I mean? Like there is technically no right answer. We're kind of like figuring it out. Like you said, it's kind of
Right.
you're looking, you're navigating, going, all right, you know what? I'm gonna try it this way to see how it works. And you kind of have to sit back and watch to see, you know what I mean, to see if it helped. You know, you're like, you didn't do your homework. This is what I'm gonna take away. Now that's one repercussion. And you just watch to go, all right, did that work? Or is he going to do it again? And then you kind of wait till the next time to go, all right, you know what? He still didn't do his homework. So maybe that didn't work. You know what I mean? Like, so I think it's an ever evolving process. It's an ever evolving relationship as we both kind of, you know, growing to know each other a little bit more. He's going, all right, you know what? I know my dad doesn't like that. And I'm going, all right, you know what? I know he doesn't like when I get loud. He'll prefer me to just be like, you know what I mean? Real even tone and things like that, man. But I will always still say it's, you know, even just being a single dad and him going into being a teenager, it's fruitful. It's I wouldn't change anything. And you know, the really dope moments that we bond on music. That's our thing. You know what I mean? So he'll be like, did you listen to this new, you know, Tyler the Creator album? And I'll tell him like, I'm listening to that. You know what I mean? Like, well, you know what I mean? Or we find something that we like and we kind of bond from it, man. So I wouldn't change anything. I love that.
Yeah, no, it's true. Like I mean, I growing up too, man. I got a lot of whippings. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like and just all those things, and it just I don't think it really worked as effective. One of the most impactful things that
Mhm.
my mom has ever did to me was told me she didn't have faith in me one time.
Mm.
And that just destroyed me in ways that didn't even imagine. You
Wow.
know what I mean? Like, so, you know, I like we were going back and forth like that. And then I really asked, I was like, well, you don't have faith in me? And she just looked at me. She said, you know what? I don't, not anymore. And I was so taken back and floored by that, you know, and I was,
Mm.
yeah, I think it was like 17 and I was grown, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, but that
Right.
really hurt me
I
more
just,
than anything else. And
yeah.
I kind of have like now a chip on my shoulder that I'm always like trying to prove her wrong for that, like trying to gain
Mm.
her faith, you
Yeah.
know, and trying to gain her belief in me. And, you know, even though she said, you know, she was wrong for that and she does believe in me and all those states, but like
Sure.
just like that in my head just kind of like really mentally messed me up.
Mhm.
And that's kind of like the thing with my daughter is that, you know what I mean? Like I don't try to like again, like we can spank and stuff like that or whatever. You know what I mean? Like my biggest thing is, you know what? You disappointed me. You let
Mm.
me down. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like I can't, you know, like now one of the things is like I tell my daughter, like I don't want her to lie. at all. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like she knows how much I hate lying and stuff.
Yeah.
So there's times too where she'll come to me, she's like, Daddy, I'm sorry. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I lied about this, that, or third. And and instead of also too, like, flipping out and like screaming at her, I'm like, you know
Right.
what? Thank you for telling me the truth. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. That was wrong, and really having that conversation, because I don't want to rule out of fear.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I don't want to rule out of fear. I want us to be able to have communication and be able to talk about things and be able to
Definitely.
freely speak with each other
Yeah.
about anything and everything,
Yeah.
you
It's
know?
100% spot on. It's that the ideology that your kids need to be afraid of you. It's like, so when are they going to be able to tell you anything? You know
Right.
what I mean? Like when, even if it's something crazy, like, yeah, this is kid and I want to fight him. You know what I mean? They're not going to tell you that because they're afraid of you. You know what I mean? Or, you know what I mean? The more in depth things like, relationships. You know what I mean? Like they're not going to want to tell you that because they're afraid of you. So it's definitely way more of a respect thing. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Ruling out of respect. You know what I mean? And then, but also still also giving some. You know what I mean? Still kind of being that dominant parent, because that has to be like, no, I told you to go take the garbage out. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, I don't care what you wanted to do. This is what you need to do. You know what I mean? But still also having that respect factor, you know what I mean, giving them as well.
No, definitely. And it goes both ways too, because I know there's times too, you know what I mean? Like where it's happened. So I think we've all been there, as parents, we're struggling with certain things. And, I've snapped at her you know what I mean? Like, because of other things that are going on.
Mm-hmm.
And some of this he may have done might have been like the thing or whatever, but I've turned around and said, you know what, baby, look, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have done that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I was angry about something else and this was going on with me and this was happening. And that's why I reacted that way. But that's not that it's right. I just
Mm-hmm.
want you to understand where I'm coming from,
Yeah.
and having that. And she understands that too. There's sometimes too, like where she'll see me, like, maybe I'm bothered about something. She'll come to me and she's fine. She's like, Daddy, are you frustrated? Are you
Mm-hmm.
angry? Is something
Mm-hmm.
bothering you? You know what I mean? Like, so that we're having that. And it's one of those like little wins that you can chalk up to yourself when you have those moments with your kids.
Yeah.
So that's one of those things that I love about that with my daughter and stuff like that, in relationships. And part of the things like too is as men, our relationships with our fathers and how they handle
Mm-hmm.
and how we see them and stuff like that. For you, what was your relationship with your dad like?
It was a complex one. It was one of those things that, he just kind of pop up. I feel like my story is a lot of people's story. Every couple of years, dad pop up, hey, you want to go hang out and things like that. But what I will say is, I've learned so much, in many different ways. I've learned what not to do,
Mhm.
but also just seeing him, as well as my mother, because my mother had her own business, but watching him, because that was one of the things I think I might have, man, I don't even think maybe I was in middle school or about to go into middle school when he allowed me to come work with him for a summer. And just really, and he had his own carpet company, so that get up at 5:30 in the morning. You know what I mean? He'll honk his horn. It was a ridiculous van horn. And you know what I mean? Like I'm up and I'll get to the van, he'll have a cup of coffee, and that's probably where my coffee addiction has started. You know what I mean? Have a cup of coffee, he'll hand me the coffee. And it was terrible because it was always black. But either way, you know what I mean? It'll be a couple of hours and I'm maybe 110 pounds at best at that time, holding a carpet and kind of helping them and learning how to install it. So the work ethic, I'll say, even though he wasn't always there, that work ethic piece is the biggest thing that I learned, from it. But on the other side is just saying, you know what, there was other things that I don't want to do. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to not be present, in my family's life. You know what I mean? Like I don't have a lot of memories. Like, okay, I was like, we didn't go to basketball games or football games or sit in front of the TV. There's nothing I could say that we bonded on except for work. You know what I mean? So those are a lot. There's a give and take, but there's a lot of qualities that I made sure I wasn't gonna be as I grew up. But then the work ethic part, I can say, definitely helped me along the way in my journey.
And I think that that's like one of the things that I've seen a lot of people in common with whose dads were in and out or weren't present at all,
Mm,
is that now as parents, and even for myself, like I say this too, like even though my dad was in the house, like he never again like went to any of my activities or any of my sporting events,
mm,
and we never really had any real like bonding type of things.
right.
And because of that, for myself and for many others, I tend to overcompensate with my children. You know what I mean? Like
Mm,
I'm there. Like I luckily I have a great wife who allows me to be a stay-at-home dad. I'm able to do my podcast. I got my t-shirt business and stuff like that.
awesome.
But that main reason is because I don't want my kids to ever look back in their life and wonder where was daddy. You know what I mean? Like I
Definitely.
cannot have that because I know what that felt like for me, you know,
Sure.
I can never see myself doing that to another individuals, you know what I mean? Especially
Sure.
my own blood.
Definitely. It's we all grow up, man, and you start to realize your own traumas. And maybe probably like 5 or 6 years ago, I realized that was still a trauma that I had. And I was like, you know what I mean? People were like, oh, your dad was left, and I'll blow it off because it's like, no, he wasn't. You know what I mean? I'm already, you know what I mean, well into my 30s now. So it's like, I'm not thinking about that. And then you find out like, oh, I haven't been in his shoes, and you're like, oh wow, that's still there. And it's just that piece where you kind of have to say to yourself, you know what, especially when you're raising a child, you have to be mindful of everything, like you said. Just that little part of being able to go back to your daughter and go, I'm sorry I snapped at you. That's something she's gonna take with her. You know what I mean? Like, or just not wanting to be a liar. Like, those little things she's gonna take with her. If she's dishonest, she's gonna come back and go, either she's just not gonna be dishonest at all, or going to be able to admit her fault. And those are key things, man. I think those are super important in the development of a child or a person and child.
Yeah, no, and it's amazing. Like people always say, like too, man, that they really do want, I don't know who don't have kids, but they absorb everything and they are always watching you,
Observant.
always at all times, you know, and you know, there's sometimes too that like I catch my daughter saying things that I've said like in the other room, and I'm like, oh my, like you heard, like you know what I mean, like, and she, you know,
Right.
kind of like modeling those things. So you just have to be
Sure.
so careful
Yeah.
on what you do and what you say, but also, you know what I mean, like I want them to know that I'm human, you know what I mean, like
Mm.
I'm not, you know, like I know some people like look at their parents as deities or the end all be all and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
it's I can't do that, you know.
That's the key thing. And I remember these things because they're little milestones that I put in my head. And it's one of those things. It's like we put our parents on like these pedestals, so that's why it hurts so much. You know what I mean? Like, it really is. And then it was just one day I'm sitting there and I'm just thinking about life, and I'm really breaking things down, and I'm just like, my dad was just another man named Duke. Like, you know what I mean? That had his own trials and tribulations and was trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, he had a love for women. He had a love for just, working hard, getting money, and living a lavish life. And he made his own mistakes. So it's like, I'll never, although it obviously, like, affects you, I'm never like harboring it because I understand it. You know what I mean? Like, especially as you start to grow up, like, I'm an adult too. I've made my mistakes. You know what I mean? Like, our parents had names, you know what I mean? Like, these aren't just like gods that were just, you know what I mean, dropped on the earth and, things like that. It's just like, these are regular humans that, have their own trials and tribulations, and they make mistakes, and we have to give them space to evolve as well. You know what I mean? Like, I can't even count how many kids my mom has. I feel terrible to think about that now. So let me count real quick just so I can say it's 3, 7. I think we're like 7 or 8. I can't remember. But from me and my older sisters, we were the first 3, and I've watched my mom evolve. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean, towards my younger siblings. And there are little moments where, I'm in my 20s where I'm looking at it like, you didn't come to any of my,
Right, right,
school
right.
events. You know what I mean? You're in the PTA, and you know what I mean. They're in ballet, and you know what I mean? Like, I'm an adult, but I'm looking at it going, you didn't let me play the drums, and you know what I mean? Like, and I had to really same thing. I had to reflect to myself and go, she had to evolve. These are things that, you know what I mean, she had in her late 20s, early 30s. She had to evolve and say, you know what, I need to be there a little bit more. You can't fault her for that. And I think that's just one of the biggest lessons. And I feel like we'll all be in a better space once we just take our parents down, love them, of course, but take them down off that pedestal and go, you know what, you guys have first names, and you're humans, and you're allowed to make mistakes and evolve the same way that we do.
You know, it's funny that you say that too, because I think like that's where everybody goes, you know, when you know, as kids, and then we look at our parents being grandparents, you're like, where was that when I was a kid?
Yeah,
Like, how was it, you know?
hugging,
And
you're
it's
not
just like
getting
you said, they had
kisses.
to evolve,
Yeah,
they had to understand, and
yeah,
now they get a chance to kind of make up for the mistakes that they made, or show
sure.
you that they have grown and evolved in certain things, you know what I mean? Like, and then that's super important. And also, like you said, like taking them off of pedestals. I think like one of my like recently, well, for a long time, like when I moved out of my house, I know I did it completely wrong. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Like I told my mom the day before I was leaving.
wow.
You
Right.
know what I mean? Like I was like, yeah, I got my movie check coming tomorrow and I'm gone.
Wow.
And I know that that caused a lot of tension, or that kind of like hurt her really deep, you know what I
Sure.
mean? Like, so, and I apologize to her for many times for doing that. um and just over the time too, like I like when I moved out and stuff, my aunt lived up the street from me,
Mm.
and she would be at my aunt's house every weekend, but she would never stop by my house, and it was literally up the street, like not even 2 minutes away,
Yeah, got it.
so I knew she
Yeah,
was there. So I kind of like, it was like her way of me getting to see me, because I would have to go over there to go see her, but she wasn't
sure.
gonna place that I guess ripped me away from her.
Got it.
And then she started going all these trips about, like, how she's feeling like abandoned, and that I don't spend time with her and stuff. And a couple like a year and a half ago, I had to get my tires done on my car. So I had her drop me off at the place and stuff. And I was like, Mom, come pick me up so we can, whatever. So she picks me up, and I'm like, what are you doing today? What do you got to do? She's like, well, I got to do some shopping and stuff. I'm like, oh, me too. Like, I got to grab a couple of things and stuff. And then she turns and she goes, oh, so do you want me to drop you off at my sister's house? Or I'm like, Mom, what is wrong with you? I'm right here. I got no car, no vehicle. You complain
Right.
about being alone, and I'm literally right here. And you want to
Yeah.
drop me off somewhere else. And then you're going to complain later that I don't want to spend time with you.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to go run these errands. And it was one of those moments where I kind of felt bad of like getting loud and snapping at her in a certain way.
Yeah.
But like, I think it took realize like that she's also human,
Yep.
and kind of like made me kind of break through that, like that barrier of like, we have to have these conversations. Like, she makes mistake, I gotta call her out. Like, she calls me out on certain things.
100%.
And we had a beautiful time that day. You know what I mean? Like, and I just had to let her know, like, listen, Mom, like, this is what
Yeah.
we. It goes both ways. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you can't complain and not do anything.
Definitely. I think in it, same thing, man. We go into the mindset of we get older and we move out. You know what I mean? I'm living my life. You know what I mean? You trapped me in the house for so long. You tell me I couldn't go anywhere. Now I can do what I got to do. And then there's that scarcity of not being around, not seeing them, or maybe just going to visit holidays and things like that. And you're like, your parents are looking at that going, well, like you said, I feel abandoned. I think we've all heard that. You know what I mean? I feel like everyone has heard at some point, like, you don't call me no more. You only pop up for holidays. You shoot me a text on my birthday. You know what I mean? Like, and similar to what you said, I don't remember what it was. It might have been just because I know my mom loves Adele. Big Adele fan. I love Adele too. So you know what I
Yeah,
mean? I'm
yeah.
not put her on, you know what I mean? Like, I love Adele. So I knew that she was coming to New York, and I grabbed tickets. I was like, gotta get me some Adele tickets. And came to our house, dropped it off, said, hey, next month, Adele, and she's super happy about it. You know what I mean? So Mike comes, I pick her up. It's like literally like a date night with my mom. You know what I mean? Like, we go there, you know what I mean? Like, she, don't get me wrong, she gets me for like a t-shirt, just like $50. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was definitely like a thing. But like, when I tell you, we just sat there and we sang every Adele song possible. You know what I mean? And then it's just one of those things where it's like, when we ended the night, she was like, I had an amazing time. You know what I mean? And it was like, we got to show our parents an amazing time. You know what I mean? Like, we got, and just in general, not even just parents, we have to take time for the people that we love to create memories.
Yes.
And coming
Yes.
from someone that I didn't understand it, I was working open to close. I was always on the grind. I gotta get it. I need to have money just in case someone needs it. I didn't go to barbecues. I didn't do nothing. Like, this is the first 34 years of my life. I didn't learn this it probably was about a year now that I've actually learned this. And I said to myself, you need to stop and create memories. Because like you said, like we talked about COVID real quick in the pandemic, the world stopped. You know what I mean? Like, it could have, we don't know what happens. It could have been it. And I would have had a handful of memories, because everything for me was get money, go to work, go to work. And I said to myself, I don't want that anymore for myself. I don't want that anymore for the people I love. If I can go to a baby, I can tell you how many brunches and baby showers and birth, like, these are things that a lot of the things, because it involves going out, and I'm an introvert, so I want to stay inside. Forcing myself, and I'm having fun when I get out there, but I'm forcing myself to leave the house to create these memories, because we just never know when we have to go through things like this again, or when we don't have enough time.
No, definitely, man. And I was just like that too. Again, like in my time at Cablevision, when I was there, they paid us triple time on holidays. So
Yeah,
come all the holidays, like my mom was like, "Where are you going?" I'm at work. I'm
I'm at
sitting at
work.
my desk
Yeah,
for 12 hours. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? If not there more, because I'm getting paid. You know what I mean?
right.
And what's one of the things that kind of like also pushed me more into like being an entrepreneur, being my own thing and stuff like that, is because I remember when I was working there, my grandmother passed away. And I'm like, I need to go to, she's in Puerto Rico. Like, I need to go to the funeral and stuff like that. And they're like, well, you don't have any time. So if you go, you can get written up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, my grandmother just died. You talk about writing me up. Like,
Right.
you talk about giving me like some sort of disciplinary, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and that was one of those things that really hit me. Like, and I started seeing those things like again, like if you drop dead today, your job will replace you within a week.
That's it.
And then
Yeah.
recently, like this quote that my wife has sent me, by Kevin O'Leary, which I
Mhm.
thought was so amazing. He says, "A salary is a drug a company gives you to forget about your dreams."
Yes, I've heard
And
that
I
quote.
was just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, and
100%.
and I started thinking about all those times where I was like sitting here, just sitting at my desk, like working and working and working and working for what? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and I'm looking at, and I would sit there at work, working 12 hours, and I'm looking through my Facebook page, and I see my sister and my mom and everybody posting all these
Having
pictures
fun.
and celebrating and having. I'm sitting
Yeah.
here just like, what the hell am I doing here?
Right. It's
So I just made it more
yeah.
like, and that's one of the missions I talked to, like, spend time with people. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You know what I mean? What's going on? Like, it's never guaranteed, and you're never going to get that time back.
Right. 100%. We've been lied to and tricked to think that dollar is everything. And don't get me wrong, I understand it. I got things to pay for to keep the lights on, and you know what I mean, to be able to pay for the certain luxuries that we need, man. But time and memories and love for those who love you. And I realized to myself, I was like, I have a lot of people that love me, and I'm being selfish by
Right,
not allowing them that time to spend with me. You know what I
right,
mean? And then
right.
only wanting to pop up when I had free time or I felt like it. And I was like, damn, that's a cold thing to do. So I think a lot of it, man, even a lot of what you mentioned is really just taking that time to learn yourself, and evolve, man, and just do some self-reflection and to push yourself to be the best you that you can.
No, definitely. And to go back on, like you said, that I guess learning from your dad, that strong work ethic and all that stuff and driving to you, like how does that help you in transitioning? And first off, again, man, congratulations on this whole prop up thing. I know I was waiting on getting there, you know what I mean? Like, but I
Yeah.
wanted the people to get to know you and see you and stuff like that before we talk about these things. But I mean, being the first ever black owned cereal company is
Mhm.
huge. You know what I mean? Like nobody's ever thought about that. And just for stars, man, how did you come up with that? Like, how did that hit you, bro?
I've always I'm gonna always keep my story consistent. I don't want to ever take credit, man. I always have to say it's a God given idea, you know what I mean? Because it came out of nowhere, you know. I'm huge in the space of just being a man of faith, you know what I mean? Like that's just been my thing. I've been way more spiritual than religious, per se.
Yeah, I agree.
And I literally like I left my corporate job, you know, I mean, during the pandemic, it's too much going on. I was like, I don't want to catch the, you know what I mean? Like whatever this virus was, I didn't fully understand it, but I knew that it wasn't something that I wanted to bring home. That was just period from there for me. And then literally just one random morning at 3 a.m. I woke up and this idea kind of just hit me. I was scrolling Instagram and everything's like, this is right after like the murder of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. And I'm scrolling Instagram and everything's like buy black, and the cereal idea just kind of just hits me, and I'm like, I own a cereal company. And I'm like, this has to be there. You know what I mean? Like you're just thinking like it's 2020 at the time. Like this has to be a thing already. Someone had to make cereal, and I googled black owned cereal company, and nothing popped up, and I'm like, okay, you know what I mean? Like I just kind of just I think I went to Instagram and hashtag black owned cereal. I don't know why, but I thought it would pop up. You know what I mean? And once I realized it wasn't there, the creative in me just kind of, it was literally like 3 o'clock in the morning. So I don't think I went to sleep that night. I think I literally started piecing everything together. I was like, what can I call the company? What's important to me? And then I was like, oh, my legacy, a legacy cereal company. I was like, oh, I'm gonna call it that. So I literally just started putting together the pieces of the puzzle from there, man. And you know, fast forward, I think we're right on our 7th month, man. You know, here we are now.
No, that's amazing, man. And I think like you said that too, like being spiritual, and I'm like that too. You know, I mean, I'm far more spiritual than I would say like religious. Like I've
Yeah.
always said, I've been more attached to my ancestors who passed away, and like I
Mhm.
feel like I know who's helped me and all those things, and
Sure.
also as far as when it comes to spiritual and just knowing your mind, and I'm sure you've read the book The Secret, right?
I haven't fully read it yet. I have like 15 different. I don't have a lot of time to read books because I'm always on the go. So I have Audible.
Yes,
So
I'm about to
I'm
say
huge on,
Audible.
yeah, I'm huge on my audiobooks, but I'm sorry, continue.
But yeah, I mean, that's one of the things is that what I love about this book is, and that really changed my life was this whole law of attraction.
Yeah.
And really understanding that. And I started looking back on my life and I started realizing that I was using it all along and didn't even realize it. You know what I mean? Like, and I've shared stories and I said with you, like when I was young and stuff like that, and I was like, when I move out, I want to have a big blue house with white shutters, and that's just my dream home. That's what I'm looking for. You know what I mean? Like, and I kind of just implanted in my head, but didn't really know or what to do. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not about having the answers. You just got to have an idea. You just got to know what you want, and everything will come to you. And then whatever, I moved out to, like I said, I didn't tell my mom. I moved out the next day, moved to this house, and I was there for like almost 2 years. And that's when I came across the book, The Secret. When I got with my wife and stuff, and we started going through this, I started reading, and he started talking about the dream home and visualizing and stuff like that. And then I looked back and I looked at the house my very first house that I moved into was a big blue house with white shutters.
Wow.
And I was like, holy, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
can't believe that I made that happen.
Yeah.
And like another key thing too, like I think like my two big aha moments is when I had a friend who had this a Jeep Grand Cherokee. And I fell in love with it, man. Like every time we would hang out, so I was like, let me drive it, let me just be in it. Like I want this car. Like I gotta have me this car. Um, and then my mom actually got into a car accident. They totaled her car, and I was like, crap. So I was listening to the radio, the Power 105, and it was like, oh, if you call a 300, you can get a chance. You'll win a Chrysler 300, whatever. And I'm calling, and boom, I'm 105. I'm like, oh snap! So I'm like, cool. So I go down to Major World, and they're having this contest, and the guy right before me, he wins a Chrysler 300. So I'm like, oh, well, whatever. But then they said, if you were in a contest, you're going to get this X amount of dollars down for a down payment on a car. So I'm like, all right, let me go see what I can go and get. And I kid you not, that very same day, I drove off with a Jeep Grand Cherokee. And I was just like, and I started understanding that what you think about and these things happen. The same thing, like I said, it came to me in this podcast and stuff. Like I started having the idea of wanting to do something like this like 2 years ago. But I didn't know what or how. And I just like trying to figure out. And I think like, again, like, we shouldn't rush to be anywhere. Everything happens in the right time for you.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? Like, don't worry about what the next person is or where they are. What everybody's journey is different, and everything is on time for you, no matter what it is. And as I started going through these things, and I had to learn and evolve, and I guess I had to go through some of these pains. I went through a lot of depression in these past 3 years.
Gotcha.
And just trying to figure out what my purpose was and all these things. And then these ideas just started coming to me. And then it just like an open floodgates just coming, all these ideas, and you just can't turn them off.
Yeah.
And that's how you're on the right path. And every single week for myself that I see this is that after every episode, after everything somebody listen to, I'm getting more and more affirmation on this is what I'm supposed to be doing, where I'm supposed to be at. So I know, I'm going to get to incredible standards because just got to follow and be persistent. And for yourself, I think that's happened to you. Like you said, you came up with this idea one night, it hit you, and you know what I mean? Like, and look where you are now, 7 months down the line, and you guys are doing amazing things, you know what I mean? So I'm so happy. And just seeing, where you came from, where I came from. And I look at you like, and just so inspired. And that's again, like why I'm doing this too, is like you also just seeing you and what you're doing gave me more motivation and more inspiration to continue and following the path and knowing that I was going to do something big. So thank you for that, my brother.
Of course, man. And I appreciate that. And I think that there was something I learned along the way last couple of years. And it's such a random quote, but it made so much sense when it was explained. It was like, watch your mouth. You know what I mean? You always hear people say like, watch your mouth, but you never really, but the way they broke down watch your mouth is basically what you're saying, like watch what you say. You know what I mean? Watch the words that you speak into the universe. You know what I mean? Like watch how you speak to yourself.
Yes.
And
yes.
that's a lot of really things that kind of I put into play into my life. Like negativity really doesn't, you know what I mean? Like enter my mind. Like I'm really not in the space of being negative. Like people know me, like I'm not the guy to go to for gossip. Like I don't, that word that's what's going on, that's cool. Like I don't want to know about that. You know what I mean? Like I'm home most likely talking about or talking out loud, going, all right, you know what? I'm going to be launching the biggest cereal company ever. I'm gonna meet this person. I'm gonna have this conversation. Once like I've been documenting my whole journey, literally from the inception of the idea. The most exciting piece is to be able to show everybody that the process. to be able to show
Right.
everybody the moments to where I'm literally sitting there going, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna be in that store and I'm gonna, you know what I mean? Like, and just knowing like you said, it's we think that we're in control. You know what I mean? Like we think that in theory, we think that like, all right, I'm just gonna go do this when I personally think, and I can say for at least me, this idea came to me randomly. But when I tell you the doors that have opened have been so easy and seamlessly easy. And it's like, wow, this was my path. And I'm over here thinking, I'm going to be on this side of fashion. And you know what I mean? Like I have 50 million different ideas. As creative, you're like, I want to do anything creative. And then
Right.
you
Right.
wake up one day and I'm in cereal. You know what I mean? Like, what? You know what I mean? But when I tell you the doors have been opening and I've learned so much along this journey. And although it's a process, I'm excited because I know every day I wake up and I'm working on it, I know where I'm going to be at the end. Like I know what it's going to look like because this is where my brain and this is what I'm thinking about.
No, definitely. And I want to touch on that too. Like you're saying, like knowing that you're going to be in this store and speaking this into existence and stuff like that is that,
Sure.
well, that's one of the things that struggle with me too, because a lot of people may look at it and be like, oh, this dude just being cocky. And it's
Mhm.
not, you know what I mean? Like you got to have confidence. You got to be sure of
Sure.
what you're doing because if you have any doubt, you're going to prove yourself right. You know,
Right.
that doubt, anything, we all know, man, negativity is so much more powerful than anything positive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so when you let just a little bit of that seep through in, you're giving enough space for the floodgates to open. So we always got to try to keep ourselves in a positive note. And like you said that too, like what I tell everybody, and I try to preach to my kids and my daughter stuff like that. Number one is like I tell her, don't say anything you don't want to happen. Like I
Mm-hmm.
tell my daughter off the rip, like and when she's like sitting there playing with her uncle and stuff like that, oh, I want this to do this, and it's like, don't say that. Don't
Right.
say anything you don't want to happen to anybody. First
Mm-hmm.
and foremost. You know what I mean? Because again, I'm a true believer in that law of attraction and you're
Sure.
putting that energy onto the universe. And I want to teach her that starting now at age 5, so that when she's gonna understand it and have such more control about that.
Agree.
You know, so that's just the power of being in that. And I always tell everybody too is that when it comes to I don't like to be negative. I don't like to surround myself with negativity either because any moment you spend in a negative thought and a negative feeling or anything
Mm-hmm.
negative is a moment of happiness you're never getting back.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, so that's why I
Yeah.
try to tell them, like, you want to outweigh the
Yeah.
good, you know what I'm saying? You want to make sure that it's just there for you. And as you were saying that too, when it comes to learning things about your journey and your path with this whole Proud Puff cereals and what you're going through, what do you think has been the biggest lesson this has taught you so far?
Man, I can't say it's even something that I didn't know, but it's really just in the space of like betting on yourself. I've always been so anxious to when I get an idea to go to Facebook and tell everyone like, hey, you know, I thought about this and this is what I want to do, and I have a movie idea, and you know, I'm working on this, and I took maybe 5 or 6 months, and I just worked in silence. You know what I mean? Like I know the cliche is like, you know, work in silence and then come out, you know what I mean? But I really just didn't tell anybody. You know what I mean? Because I knew if I went to Facebook and said, I'm gonna launch the first black-owned cereal company, people would be staring at it. It may get a couple likes, but people would just be like, why? You know what I mean? Or like, do you know how hard it is? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I just said to myself, you know what? I was like, I can do it. You know what I mean? Like this is something that I can do. I don't need anyone else's help. Everybody else that I need help on, and whether it's on legal or the formulation of the cereal, like these are professionals that I need to pay for. Other outside noise, I don't need it. I don't need anyone else's energy besides myself. You know what I mean? So I literally just worked on it in quiet. Like it was literally like a secret laboratory in my house, and I just worked on it. And I would say that's the biggest thing, man. You know, you don't always have to announce your moves in advance. Just really put together your plan and then jump out the gate. So when I made the announcement, that's what caused it, because by then the box was already designed. By then the legal documents were already put in play. You know what I mean? Like everything else that I had, the formulation, the taste, like I had everything in play by the time I made the announcement. So it wasn't like this is what I want to do. It's like, oh, it's here. So people got to see it. It's like, oh, he has it's a real box. It's a real cereal box. This is real cereal. You know what I mean? If you want to Google, not Google, if you wanted to pull up the documents as far as the trademark, you can see, you know, Proud Puff cereal. You can see my name attached to it. You know what I mean? Like, so people say, like, people can see it and say this is real. And I think that's just like the biggest thing, man. Just being able to really just bet on yourself and not putting in limitations on yourself, like we talked about earlier. Like, I don't think there's there's nothing that I can't do. You know what I mean? Like there's certain things that you have to train. If I want to all of a sudden become a gymnast, I can become a gymnast. I have to train my body to do so because at 35, if I try to do a cartwheel right now, probably not gonna turn out the best.
Right,
You know
right.
what I mean? But if I had some practice and I took some yoga classes and learned how to stretch, I could do a cartwheel and probably a backflip. And it's just one of those things, man. Like whatever you want to do, man, sky's the limits, man. I'm a firm believer in that, for real.
No, that's awesome, and that's I guess what's going to tie into one of my other questions too. Is stuff like that I know through this whole venture stuff like that is how you handle the negative intention or negative energy and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
what was your game plan to that? Just I guess you said just saying in silent or.
I mean, it's gonna come. You know what I mean? Like it's twofold, right? So as excited as a lot of communities are, namely the Black community, about being the first Black-owned cereal company, there's going to be the other side of the world that's not excited about it. You know what I mean? So I believe it was maybe my HuffPost interview that I did, that clearly, like, I don't know what side of the country I hit, but there were a lot of people upset with me because I got email after email of just like racist remarks, like no one wants to see this, N-word this, and you know what I mean? Like, and they were really thinking about it. It like, it didn't bother me so much because I'm just like, you know that there's people out there that's just not going to be excited about knowing that a Black man is starting a cereal company and knowing that he put a black family on the front of a cereal company. Like, I just knew that. So that was, you know what I mean? Like going into a realistic expectation, but it was like, you guys are really mad that I'm making cereal. Like, this is what's upsetting you. You know what I mean? Like, you created a fake email, you know what I mean? A fake email address to send me an email just to tell me how much you hate me. You know what I mean? So like those things, although it was annoying, those things just kind of like rolled off my shoulder because I was just like, you can't be serious, man. But I'm like I said, man, I surround myself with so much love, man, that I see the negativity, but it really doesn't enter this matrix that I have here that I'm building.
No, that's huge, man. I think that's a big thing that we need to understand and kind of move forward. Like for me, I guess like I've struggled with again like worrying about one of the things like pleasing everybody or trying to make everybody else happy and just being a people pleaser.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And that was one of my biggest mistakes is trying to please everybody because it really drove me to so much, I guess, self-inflicted insanity and depression.
Yeah.
Because it's just so overwhelming. And I love this thing is like by Winston Churchill, where he says like, when you're 20, you worry that everybody's talking about you. When you're 40, you don't care anymore. And when you're 60, you realize nobody was thinking about you in the first place.
Got it.
You know what I mean? Like, so I'm just kind of fast forwarding it up. Like nobody's really thinking about you. Nobody's really on that stuff because like you said that too, like, you know what? You could have let that person who sent you that racist email literally break you down. But then that person, you would have sent that email like tomorrow, he's going back about his business, not thinking about you again. You know what I mean? Like you're not even on his radar anymore. Like he said what he had to say, and he's moving on, and you're still like left to. We can't do that to ourselves.
100%, and I completely understand what you feel when it comes to the space of being a people pleaser, and with launching the company. Out the gate, just super excited. You know what I mean? Like I had so many deadlines in place. I had so many systems in place for success. And then we hit that wall because we have to now, the demand at that point was so big that we couldn't utilize the kitchen that we use, and we had to go to a manufacturing company. So I literally had to stop everything and go, all right, time to get a manufacturing company. And then I have a manufacturing company in place, in short, that's like, all right, yeah, no, we're good whenever you're ready. And then by the time the money was there and I come back, they're like, yeah, I can't do it, sorry. Now I have over 5,000 orders where people are like, so we're not getting any cereal? You know what I mean? And then this is where, like you said, being a people pleaser. Now I'm going through sleepless nights. It's scrambling even more. Now my level of anxiety is going up because I had, you know what I mean, 5,000 orders, and I had press, and I have people that are messaging me and emailing me and championing me every day going, I can't wait to get this cereal. And I'm at a dead stop. You know what I mean? So like the only thing for me was to realize like, Nick, you know what? I'm going to be transparent anyway, because that's just who I am. So I'm telling people like, hey, you know what? They're not making it easy for me. And I have to find a way to really make this happen. Have faith and communicate with me, and I'll communicate with you. But then I also had to say to myself, you need to find a way to get through this anxiety. So I started going to the gym and I started running more. And that's how I was able to get away from literally having anxiety attacks, because like you said, if you don't handle it the right way, it will break you down.
Oh yeah, man. I listen, my biggest fear, one of the, well, not my biggest fear, something that happened to me, when I was working at Cablevision and stuff, but when they were closing down, we are gonna get laid off, and we knew that coming in. Like there was like, in X amount of months, you're gonna be laid off,
Mm-hmm.
and my daughter was just turning one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm already here, like, this has been my breadwinner, you know what I mean? Like, because I've been making buku bucks here, and now it's getting ripped away from me.
Wow.
And I just started going through so much anxiety. And then it's like, which one of the things that what helped me too recently, I read this book called Cry Like a Man by Jason Wilson.
Okay.
If you haven't, definitely get that in the audiobooks and stuff like that. I don't know if you've seen the video. He was the martial arts teacher with the kid who started crying.
Oh,
He's like, it's okay to, it's him.
that's
And
powerful.
that kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, that took me off guard. And that listening to his book has helped me tremendously see a
Okay.
lot of things that impacted me and
Mm-hmm.
at us as men, where we can't express our feelings or tell people
Mm-hmm.
that we're sad or depressed or that we're hurting. So I left a lot of that. I couldn't say that to my wife, a lot of things, because like, I told her too, like, I can't tell you that I'm sad, or like, because I feel like I'm not supposed to be the man. I'm supposed to be the rock. And if I'm
Right.
faulty, like, what's that going to mean for my family?
Right.
And it
Yeah.
got so bad that I literally ended up paralyzed for 3 days, bro, in the
Wow.
hospital.
Wow.
And doctors couldn't figure out what happened to me. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like, I'm seeing people from the CDC, and they're taking blood tests, like, all throughout the day, and urine, and trying to figure out like what is going on. And they could not figure it out. But
Mm-hmm.
I know for myself, as I think about it, I was under so much stress, so much anxiety, and all these things that I was putting on myself, that my body just shut down. Like, yo, we need to relax,
Yeah.
calm down,
Yeah.
and woosah,
Right.
because like this is way too much.
Yeah. Your body will do it for you. You know what I mean? Like your body knows its limitations. And I really, and again, it's still such a journey, man, and it's all so new for me, but I really always wanted to get away from and actively working to get away from that notion that we can't just express how we feel. You know what I mean? Like we can't just be like, yo, I'm going through it right now. I'm feeling anxious. You know what I mean? Like I'm sad. Like I've always told people, and this has probably been the easiest part for me. Like I'm emotional, but I'm not sensitive. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I'm emotional in a space of like when I'm happy, I'm happy. When I'm sad, I'm sad. You know what I mean? When
Right,
I'm
right.
angry, I'm angry. Like I understand my emotions. You know what I mean? So I have no problem going into that space just being like, oh, I'm unhappy, man. And I feel like we need that. You know what I mean? Whether it's friends or it's an actual therapist, we need that because, like you said, as being a man of the house, you have to be that rock. You know what I mean? Like you can't be that rock if you're falling apart. You know what I mean? Like at some point, that rock is going to, you know what I mean? It's going to crumble. You know what I mean? It's going to
Right,
turn
right.
into sand or gravel or dust because, you know what I mean? Like you're holding in too much. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I really want to break that thing, man, to where it's like we can't discuss our feelings, man, because we're human, man. We talked about this a few times today. We're human. We got to be able to have that release as well.
Yeah, no, and that's another reason why I'm doing this show, man, and just like, putting it
Okay.
out there so that people can go out and just speak their mind, and really trying, like I said, man, I'm trying to be America's big brother. I want
Love
to be there for people who, you know what I mean? Like if another man want to come to me, listen, man, I'm sad, I'm depressed, like be there. Like, it's funny, man. I joined this Facebook group for anxiety and depression.
it. Mm.
And one of these nights or whatever, I was just going on and scrolling, and I seen somebody post like, I'm just going through so much, and I just want to end it all and stuff like that. And I shot him a message. I'm like, yeah, what's going on, bro? You need to talk.
Mm-hmm.
And we developed a really, really cool friendship, man. This dude's in Australia.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah.
we
Wow.
he would hit me up, and in our time difference, like 12-hour time change and stuff like that. But we made it work, and we chit chat here and there, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that to recently, he had hit me up. He's like, our conversations really helped me, man. Like, thank you so much for just being there and talking to me and stuff like that. Like, I'm going to church now, man. I got me a new girl. I'm about to get married.
Wow.
I mean, like everything's turned around, man. I'm glad that I talked to you when I did, because it could have ended so much worse. And that
Yeah.
people don't realize, man. Like, and that's one of the things that we need to release that stigma to when people are depressed or they're sad, stuff like that. That it's like, oh, just get over it.
Mm.
Sometimes just saying, hey, how are you feeling? What's
Yeah.
going on? And giving
Yeah.
that person a chance to admit. You don't have to understand. You don't
Yeah.
have to try to figure them out or whatever. You just have to hear them. Just
Yeah.
hear them.
I,
And that's
I
all it takes.
I wish I was ready for what you just said because there's something that I found online, and it basically breaks down what your responses should be to your friends when they're going through depression. You know what I mean? The things to say and things not to say. You know what I mean? And similarly, like you just said, and one of the things were like, be strong. And it's like, no, they don't have to. You know what I mean? Like,
Right, right.
listen, you want to break down real quick? Break down. Like, what's going on? Like, let it out. You know what I mean? Like, but I think a lot of the times we go into it like, oh man, you'll get over it, man. Don't worry about it. It's nothing. Like, no, it's something. Again, go back to negating feelings. Like, no, it's something. You know what I mean? Like, let's be here. Let's be in this moment and really go through it, man. But I'll find that thing, man. But there's literally like a bunch of keywords, and when I read it, I was like, wow, these are all things that I probably would have said. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because I wasn't educated in knowing like that's the wrong thing to say. And then I'm looking at the things that I should say, and I'm like, this actually makes so much more sense. You know what I mean? Because for someone that's going through depression, and I think we've all had those dark, gloomy moments to where we're just like, you know what I mean? Like, I need to block the world out. It's getting way too heavy for me. And being around people that know what to say and what not to say. And this goes back, you know, I feel like this conversation, a lot of it is about it, man. Really, the self-education, you know what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
part, and really wanting to know better and be a better person is super key.
You know, it's true, man. We gotta know how to do better. And it goes back to, like I said, that, you know, like treating people how they want to be treated, just understanding, you know,
Mhm.
just letting them let it out, letting them vent and stuff like that. Because
Yeah,
that's all it takes. That's all it takes, you know.
100%.
And then that's why I said, like, with Benny, you know what I mean? Like, I've known him for a long time, and I was going through some real tough times when another job, when I was cleaning pools one summer.
It's another
And
job.
yeah, I've done it all, man.
I
I've
respect it,
done it
man.
all.
Work it. Yeah.
And you know, I was just going through a real tough time, like I just, again, like, just financially, just trying to struggle where I'm gonna be at, you know, going to school. I was going to school full time. You know, my second child was on the way. And then my dog, who I had for 11 years, man, my first son, you know, I had to put him down.
I remember seeing that. Yeah.
And it was just, it was such a dark time for me, because that was, for me, really the first time that I had anybody that was that close to me die. You know what I mean? Like, or take it away, like, with me literally every single day from 11 years, up and down, anywhere I went, to
Wow.
just not be there. And that also hit me hard, because I didn't know how much he really meant to me, you know, until he was gone. Like, just being my support, just being there. Like, I would sit there and talk to him when I was being down and depressed, and just really being a therapist. I'm getting all emotional now. Like,
Yeah. No, hey, man.
um you know, just being that emotional support and stuff. And I was a wreck, and you know, and out of the blue, like, me and Benny, we didn't hang out like that, and we know each other, we, you know, see each other and pass stuff like that. But I was going through stuff, and he literally just hit me up one day. He's like, yo, how you feeling, bro?
Mm,
What's going on? And then he was going through some things too and stuff like that, and we would talk about those things, and every couple of days and stuff like that, and we didn't like hear from each other, we'd send like, hey, everything okay? Like, what's going on?
yeah.
And just that alone just helped me so much, and really got me through such a tough time. And
Sure.
that's what I part of the reasons too, like, why I want to do that for all of us. I think us as men, we really got to be there and join this, start a front, just a real brotherhood of being there for each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I don't want what you want and all like that, but I want you to be successful in whatever it is. I want to help you and see you
Right.
reach your goals,
Right.
and not have to tear each other down, and be able to speak with each other openly about our feelings and all those things. It's just so important to understand that, and just know that, you know, just because it may not be a problem to me, it's a
Right.
problem to you. And I got to help you understand that, you know, and just
Mm,
let you vent and get through it at whatever your possibility is. So
I agree.
that's where we are with that. Um, so as we wind it down here, like I said, man, thank you so much for speaking with me, and
Of
stuff like that. I
course.
got two last questions for you.
Sure.
So when it comes down to this, in your lifetime, what could you say? What has been the best advice you have ever received?
Ooh. Man. I actually got to think about this one, man. The best advice that I've ever received. Um, Man, I guess I gotta circle back to probably one of my other answers, man. You know, just that all things are possible, man. It's again, you know, tying back to my faith, just that, you know, I guess everything that we talked about, you know, whether it's faith or believing in yourself and the law of attraction, like how technically all those things, man, when you really put those things together, like it can really like propel your life forward. You know what I mean? Like it's I've had it. I can say I've had a blessed life, and I've had my own trials and tribulations, man. But I can say for the most part, what I mean, like my whole life has been a blessing and a journey, but a learning experience as well. But I've always believed in myself and my abilities. I've never said that I can't do something. You know what I mean? But I've always been again, a man of faith, and I've always talked to myself a certain way. And like you said, some people would say it's like an ego, you know what I mean? But it's like when you have done the homework and you have done your own research on yourself and you've taken time, and especially for those who are introverted or always into, being the best version of themselves, you talk to yourself. I talk to myself a lot. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's a little scary, you know what I mean? When you start to go back and answer yourself, but I talk to myself a lot, and I ask myself certain things that I need to work on. And I ask myself, you know what I mean? Like, what do I see next for myself? So I can definitely say probably the best advice, man, is just really knowing that all things are possible, man, and really not putting any ceilings or limitations on your life, man. All my dreams are really going to come true because I already know that they are. You know what I mean? Like this, it's just when that time is ready. You know what I mean? Like when that destined time that I hit, then everything will start to come to fruition for real.
Yeah, no, and I think it's huge. I think when it comes to that, people saying things are impossible. Like I came to this other quote that says that like when you look at the word impossible, the
Mm,
words I'm possible are right there.
mm,
You know what I mean?
right.
So, just really have to focus on that. And also this like I said, this book that I'm going through right now is the mindset makeover.
Got it.
Um,
Sounds like
and then
another
it
good one.
there, yeah, no, it is. It's good, man. It's only
Yeah,
3 hours on Audible book, so
that's it, man. That's why real quick, that's why I love the Audible books, man. Because some of my drives, especially if I'm going into New York, that's an hour and 15. It's like, all right, you know what? I can bang out this book in it, you know what I mean? Like a good trip, you know what I mean? Going there, coming back, maybe a little bit. Even when I go grocery shopping, you know what I mean? I'll throw my AirPods in, and that's a good 25, 30 minutes of getting these books. So I've knocked out a lot of books, man, over the last few months.
no. So it's definitely a good one to get on there, man. But
Yeah.
one thing that I just came to recently is that it says is they was talking about the story about like how for a long time they said that it was you couldn't break a 4 minute mile. It was impossible to break
Mm,
a 4 minute mile, right? So they
right.
set this limitation up. And this guy was like, you know what? Nah, man, I'm gonna break that. And he trained, and he became the first man. He broke. It was like 3 minutes and 50 something seconds. He did it.
Mm,
And then after that, a few other people started breaking that milestone.
right.
But then the quote that followed that was it says is that if anyone can do it,
Right.
anyone can do it.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like it just takes that one person, you know what I
right.
mean, to change that whole mindset, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm sure that for you too. Like as you grow up with this whole Proud Puff cereal thing and stuff like that, and then and it gets bigger and stuff like that, more and more people might see that and try to take their own word for it. But
Yeah.
congrats to you on being
Thank
on you know what I'm saying on leading the way and in that charge for you. So um um just well where we're on that right now, man. Just as anybody trying to get some of that cereal stuff like that, like where can they get that information or where can they get some cereal from you, man?
all information right now is on proudpuffcereal.com. I don't know when this interview comes out, but by then, maybe, possibly. I just had a really awesome reversal actually interview. I was actually doing the interviewing, which is actually pretty cool. I sat down with the CEO of Revolt TV, which is Diddy's cable network. I sat down
Awesome.
with him, and really dope experience. I'll be posting that soon. Really dope experience, and just got to pick his brain, man. You don't get a lot of opportunities to, what I mean, like he's in a position of power, and it's an amazing position. But just also him giving his insight, how the actual industry works and certain things that I could potentially do, man. So that's going to be up really soon. But proudpuffcereal.com pretty much has all information. We're working extremely hard. I'm really building a formidable team, man, to really kind of break into this industry. It's a little bit over 100 years old. You know what I mean? I'm coming into it, you know what I mean? Just, being me, you know what I mean? Being just young, black, you know what I mean? Super, super set on my intentionalities and my message, wanting to give kids a healthier cereal option. And I think that's just like the main thing. And we talked about law of attraction a lot on the back of the boxes and affirmation word search. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So
that's dope.
thank you, man. I figured that's something that you might like,
That's
man.
dope.
So it's I wanted to put something that I learned into it. You know what I mean? So kids, it says like let's play a game, and it says say I am in the words that you find, you know, so kids can say I am blessed, I am loved, you know what I mean? Like I am respected, you know what I mean? Like, so I just wanted them to start their mornings the right way, man. So
That is beautiful, man.
thank you, man. What we have coming with Legacy Cereal Company is exciting, man. We've built some really amazing relationships that I can't wait to tell everybody about, man. And just hopefully, not hopefully, really soon, cereal will be on its way. We're just trying to get on a manufacturing schedule, and then it's go time for real.
No, definitely, man. Whenever you're ready to make any other announcements like that, man, I'd love to have you back on here, man, and give you a platform to do that, man.
Next time we do this interview, you'll have a bowl of Proud Puffs, and
yes, sir.
You know
yes, sir.
We'll be having this conversation, man, over a bowl of Proud Puffs, and we'll talk about all the store locations that I'm in, and all the moves that we're making.
No, definitely, man. So and then just lastly, then my last question is, like you said, for the younger generation, so like that for yourself, man, what would be some advice you would give them?
I'd say the biggest thing, man, is again, it'll sound cliche, man, but I've learned so much, is that education piece. You know, paying attention to school is key, man, but really gathering that education, man. There's so many different things out there, especially having the internet. When you and I grew up, I think we probably started really utilizing the internet maybe middle school.
Yeah.
I mean, but it wasn't to the degree it is now. But I remember reading encyclopedias and things like that. You know what I mean? Like the internet is at your fingertips. Everything that I've learned that's helping me along with building my company has been all researched. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's how to do trademarks, or what do I need, you know what I mean, as far as formulation for my cereal products and things like that, man. So I'm gonna have to stick with education, man. I'm gonna always have to double back and say bet on yourself. That's my favorite thing to say. But you don't have anything, man, without education. Education is at your fingertips. We got smartphones, laptops, tablets, everything. That we can literally just watch a YouTube video and learn how to, you know, build a house, or you know what I mean, like fix a roof, or whatever the case may be. There's an educational component online, and that can teach you something. So I'd have to go with education for sure.
No, definitely, man. It's very, very important that we all educate ourselves. Like I've been doing more in that too. Like even recently, these past couple years, like reading these self-help books, is reading all these things really to educate myself on how I work and what goes into my mind and why I try to do certain things or why I act a certain way. And I think that's important for everybody to do for themselves, really understand themselves. And like you said, being emotional and understanding their emotions, you know what I mean? Like, and know what triggers you and know what you can do and know all those things so that you can, because I think it's also one of those important things is that once you master your emotions, no one can take control over you. Oof. You know what I mean? Like no one can control.
I wish we had more time, man. I could talk about that for hours, man. But that piece is so important and so powerful. If someone can just make you upset by just that one little trigger, and they know that pushes your buttons, they have complete control over you. They got complete control over you. They could probably make you lose your job. That means they got complete control over your family, your finances. You know what I mean? Like your overall health, man. So I agree 100%, man. And I really believe. Don't get me wrong. Like I wish I paid more attention in school. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because there's definitely like little pieces that I had to go back and learn myself.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I was willing to go find that information. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? To better myself. So I have to say education, whether for kids or adults, man, whether it's to learn a trade or to be better in whatever your career is, or just to be a better person. You know what I mean? The education piece is key.
No, definitely. So, like we said, let's make sure we all focus on education, stuff like that. So, listen, man, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to sit with me and have this conversation, man. I really enjoyed it, man. Appreciate it.
I want to take 30 seconds to say congratulations, my brother. You know what I mean? Like I watched the gents with you and Benny. I think that was the last episode, man. It was a really great interview, and we talked about finding your voice. And I believe you found even just your intro, the way you introduced it. I was like, that was well done. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I don't care. A couple episodes in, like, I believe 100% that you have found your calling, and this is only going to get bigger and better as you have grown and standing your and being consistent, man. So congratulations on what you're doing, and I'm always here to support.
No, thank you so much, man. So thank you again, Nick, for taking the time, and thank you everybody for listening. As I always say, no matter who you are, no matter what you've done, your big brother loves you. I'm out. Wow.